Hey guys and gals, welcome to the channel. I'm Chris Kiefer. We're in the backyard today. That's Greg over there moseying around, and I am Chris. How are you guys doing? Thanks for joining me. We appreciate you downloading this or just watching it while you're cruising around on YouTube, or subscribing to our channel. So thank you for being here. Today we're going to talk about something pretty basic. Some of you guys out there might think, oh, Kiefer, that's lame, dude. Everyone knows this, but you would be wrong, because you see my email inbox on the amount of handlebar questions that I get, you'd be like, holy shit, there is a lot. So today we're going to talk about how to properly set your handlebars. Yes, set your handlebars, because that seems to be a problem. And you know what? No hate comes, because some of these things that I talk about on this channel may be rudimentary for all of us that do this all the time, but there's a lot of guys out there who are new to the sport. They go to YouTube to kind of learn how to do it, and there's no hate in that. Like some of us that have been doing it for 25 years or so may already know how to set your bars, but maybe you'll learn something here today. So I'm very picky when it comes to bars. Greg knows this.
He's a pain in the ass.
I'm a pain in the ass, according to Greg. So we're going to talk about handlebar dimensions, which one's best for you, how to properly set them, where the levers should be. Look, at all of this is a preference, of course. It matters from the type of rider you are, for how tall you are, and all of that. But here today, we're just going to talk about really simple, easy steps for you to get comfortable really quick. We picked the KX450 just because, one, we just watched it, and it's a pretty even keel cockpit. I feel like it fits a wide range of riders. The Yamaha is a little bit special when it comes to the rider triangle. This is pretty neutral. Right now we have a pair of 839 Renthal fat bar. My bar is out now. Just want to go check. You can get it at I think motosport.com has them. I think Rocky Mountain will have them up here shortly. But that is the 661 KK bin. That is also up. The 839 comes stock on the Kawasaki and the Honda CRF 450. It is a very neutral, easy to get along with bend. Like an 839 bend on a lot of different types of motorcycles, not even just the Kawasaki and the Honda. So this is what we have on the KX450 here today. Also, just a little bit of a note we can add to this thing right here. If you are on a, KX450 comes with lock-on grips. If you're like me and you dislike lock-on grips and you go to glue-on grips, you're gonna have to buy yourself a throttle tube. So we went with a Works Connection throttle tube, and that has a bearing on the end of it. So anytime you get a throttle tube with a bearing, cut your handlebar a ½ inch. I don't know how many riders I have met saying, yeah, I'm using this tube, has a bearing, and I go, did you cut your handlebars? They're like, no. So now you're adding another ½ inch to your bars because of that bearing. That bearing inside of this throttle tube takes up a ½ inch space, so you cut that down, and now your spec is what it should be. 839 spec is 802 millimeters. The height is just over 90 millimeters, so a little bit taller than others. SX Race, if you guys are familiar with Pro Taper size, 87 millimeters. My 661 bend is also 87 millimeters, so I like a slightly lower bend, and I am 6 foot tall, but nonetheless, this 839 works on this Kawasaki. So let's just start up right here. So actually, Greg, get on the bike. So most of you guys will get a pair of bars and your buddy will be here or whatever. We'll just peel these things off right here. And you'll put the bars on. You can leave that on. And you'll set your bars while you're on the stand. So Greg, put your hands on the bar. So what ends up happening is you set your bars, it feels right. You got your spec within range. You're like, I kind of like that. What's crazy about this is you can actually see the grid and you can mark that. So if you guys do end up marking your bar mount cap with where you're at on the grid, it's pretty easy. Now, if you don't do that and you're sitting on the stand, you go set them, you go back to sleep, you go to the track the next day, and you go to take your bike off the stand and you go get on the track and you're like, why do my bars feel a little bit taller? Well, the reason is when you're sitting on the stand and you're up a little bit higher and you set, everything's going to feel a little bit taller, and you're going to be like, oh shit, I want to rotate my bars a little bit farther forward because they're going to feel back while you're sitting on the stand. Then when you take it off, they'll be rolled up a little bit. So always set your bars off of the stand. Get off of the stand, sit on your bike, adjust them how you need it, and then that is for sure you're going to have a great way to get adjusted really quick. The next thing is what we'll do, you see where Greg is on the seat, very far forward. What I like to do when I set bars is, okay, you think Greg is right there, he sets his bars, and of course you're off the stand, and then you're like, I like that area right there. Well, move back a little bit. So if you do have ribs on your seat, you can go back 2 ribs, and then see where your bars are at, put your hands back on the bars, and see where they're at there from there. So sometimes when you do that, you may think, hell, these bars are a little bit too far forward. So make sure when you do set your bars, be in the riding position like you normally are, and then sit back on the seat and keep your hands on the handlebars to see if that is still a good neutral position, and then stand up. You want to stand up and see if that position that you set them in is still the correct position. And if all that feels great, those 3 positions, farther forward, farther back, standing up, that is a correct position. So some of you guys are like, who gives a shit, Chris? Like, but I am very particular with where my bars are set.
My God.
Because there's nothing worse than being on the track feeling like you're in the middle of a race, or even in the middle of a moto in a practice day, like, hey, my bars are too far down, they're too far up, and it's just a pain in the ass. So that is a basic way to set your bars. Now, Kiefer, what bar bend should I go with? We have a huge article up on my website, kieferinctesting.com. There's recommended bar specs, there's optional bar specs for each bike. But just a quick word, if I can, on this really fast. So I don't like to get very tall bars. We discussed this on numerous videos here on the YouTube channel. The old school way, and coming from my era, that was the way. Taller bars. If you're taller, you want to get a higher height, and then try to get a little bit of sweep. But nowadays, a lot of these bars are in between 85 to 92 millimeters, which I think is a nice in-between spec for anywhere between 5'8" to 6'2". If you do need taller bars, try to get a taller bar mount, or go with a bar mount that has available spacers or washers that you can raise it up. Get the height from the mount itself, and try not to get the height from the bar. Why is that, Chris? What the fuck's the difference? So for me, and for most, if you go to all of these supercrosses, I've sat on many factory bikes. A lot of these guys get the height from the mount, and the reason that is because you want to be able to relax your elbows and your arms when you're riding, and have the height for when you're standing up. Especially for you taller guys, you need some of that, right? Because you want to be able to move around and get around the bike. So they get that height straight from the middle of the bar, and then they have a flatter bar, a straighter bar, because it doesn't hurt their cornering. When you have a very tall bar and you're trying to corner and you're sitting down, no matter how tall you are, unless you're 6'8", you should be playing basketball, not riding dirt bikes. You won't be able to put enough leverage and force into the corner to make this area bite down on the terra firma, aka the ground. So the taller the bar, the less cornering progress you will have, and the less leverage you will have, because you'll be so high up and kind of like pinched off, you won't be able to corner. So you want to get that height straight from here, get a flatter bar, and what that does, it gives you height but doesn't cramp your shoulders, and then you can actually relax in the corners, and then you can keep that pressure straight down, align with your forks and your front tire, and you can turn better. That's just the new way of doing things. The past 10 years or so, a lot of these guys are just going to get the height from the bar mount and then going to a flatter bar. 839 for me is probably the highest I would go. I think this is a 91 or 92 millimeter height. I always say height. Sorry, man. I'm just a dirt biker. I'm not a.
I know.
I'm not a. I'm barely a high school graduate. So yeah, you basically want to get the height from there, and that helps you with cornering. If you guys are running Sierra high bands or the older school bands where they're very high, upwards of 95 to 100 millimeters of height, that's way too tall. Just get that height from the bar mount, and that'll help you right there. What about rotation forward and back? what we call our good buddy Eric Rizzo. I sat on his bike the other day, and I couldn't believe, I thought I was running a beach cruiser because the handlebars were so rotated far forward. And I'm like, well, why do you have them so far rotated far forward? He's like, well, I need room in the cockpit. Well, why aren't we changing bar bends? And what are we doing? Why are we rotating them forward? So when you rotate your bar too far forward, again, same thing. The bar isn't aligned with how the geometry of the bike is going down, and then it's harder to corner. Think about this. Actually, Greg, show me here.
Okay.
You're sitting on the bike, and then you're rotating that forward. So when you go to the corner, look at all that. Like, there's no pressure on your hands to push through the bars, on the forks, into the tire. If you rotate them back a little bit, your elbows are relaxed, still bent, but then you can have force on your right or left hand and really get into the corner with more of a relaxed stance. If you're rotated too far up, it's hard to get the leverage and corner, and you're like this. So cornering isn't great when you're going too far forward. So again, if you're a taller guy, get that height from the mount, and then try to least, if you can see here, I'm right about 1 to 1.2 on the fat bar scale right here. I never go more than that or less than that. I'm always between 0.7 or 0.5 to a little over 1. And that is a good neutral position for a handlebar. Just try not to go rotated too far forward. Now, rotated too far back, old school Ricky Carmichael Honda days, if you remember that, Greg.
Oh yeah.
He wanted to roll that thing in his lap a little bit so he could corner better, but for us normal guys who are going riding on the weekend, that's not going to work if you stand up, because then those things will be in your lap, standing up, and then if you want to show this, then all you're going to do is be standing up, and there's going to be no control because your bars are going to be too far down in your lap. So again, neutral position, always try to get that neutral 0.5 to 1.5 area, get the height from the mount, go to a 85 to a 92 millimeter bar height. You can pick and choose what you want. That's up on my website, keeferinctesting.com. As far as levers go, that's very, very preference based. I like my wrist flat. Again, if you have an injury to your wrist, yes, I know my screen is broken. You guys are gonna talk shit on that. This is my motocross. You know how many people talk shit on my watch?
It is kind of shot out, but it works. It works. What the hell?
So just FYI, we're gonna break for a commercial. The commercial is, I wear this because it's jacked up and I ride with a motocross. You know, I ride with it when I motocross. Right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
I don't want rocks breaking my new one, so I wear the old one. So don't talk shit in the comments. Keep those levers flat. My son likes them up a little bit higher than me. Again, that's preference based on if you have wrist problems or how much you can move your wrist. But if you rotate them too far down, you're not going to be able to grab your front brake into a corner without completely rolling off your throttle and grabbing. So sometimes you still like to grab that throttle and then grab a little bit of front brake to drag that in ruts, to suck that front wheel inside the ruts. But again, try to keep them at least level with your grips and with your hands, not too far down where you're trying to rotate your grip downward. So flat to a little bit upward is probably the best. But other than that, guys, that's the basis of handlebar setup. Greg, do you have any questions for me?
No, I have to live with you.
Look, you're 60 years old and your cockpit's pretty neutral.
That'd be 63, but yeah, mine is very neutral.
And Greg rotates his bars back a little bit, but when he stands up, it's still pretty good with his posture. You're 5'11", 6 foot?
Yeah, I shrunk, breaking my neck a few times.
Yeah.
It was 6 foot, but now I'm 5'11".
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, hit me up, chris@keeferinctesting.com. Don't put them in the comments here, so I might miss it in the YouTube comments, but go to my website. I'll try to put a link to the recommended handlebar specs on my website in that description link. And then otherwise, that's about it. Remember, take your bike off the stand, set your bars. If you're going to an aluminum throttle tube with the bearing, cut that a 1/2 inch. Neutral setting area. Get the height from the mount. If you need a higher bend than a 92 millimeter, I know they companies make them, but if you want to improve your cornering, or if you're looking to do that, or you're just like, hey man, I can't corner, maybe it's your handlebars setup. It very well could be. A lot of these people that email me, their bars are too tall, or they'll show me a picture of their cockpit area and their bars are rolled too far forward. So get your cockpit done right, and then your bike will reward you through the corners as well as the straightaways, because you need leverage to hold on to this damn thing, because they are a lot to hold on to. Give this channel a like, download, subscribe, do all that stuff. And don't forget, we have more over on our website right here. And yeah, look for more videos, helpful tips. If this was helpful, let me know. This was just lame and you guys already knew it, then thumbs down it. But a lot of people out there hit me up with, how should I set my handlebars up? So there is a brief overview, 16 minutes of your life right there on how to do it. See you guys later.